who did not feel moved by Richard Goodall's performance. His thunderous voice stunned the judges and the audience, setting the stage for an amazing event that will be remembered for a long time. Mystery still surrounds Goodall despite his success on America's Got Talent. Curious? How frightening. I agree with you. Unveiling the identity of this musician is our mission today. Also, he's got more going for him than meets the eye. It would be best if we began at the beginning. Richard Goodall is just a regular guy hailing from Terre Haute, Indiana. The kind of person you might walk right by without noticing if you didn't know about his secret talent. An opportunity had been quietly waiting for something to happen. You can see that Richard's passion for music is unmatched. When he was younger, he wanted to be a singer, but life had different plans. Despite this, he ended up sweeping the floors of an elementary school instead of performing on a huge stage, all within walking distance of his house. Still, Richard couldn't help but hum along with his songs. On occasion, Richard will begin to sing as he works. He does it to brighten the day of everyone, especially the kids at school. The cleaner became famous for her ability to transform dull hallways into intimate concert venues with her unprompted and loud singing. Suddenly, something strange happened. After Richard sang "Don't Stop Believing" to a group of delighted children, someone snapped a video of the emotional scene. Richard quickly gained immense popularity on social media following the video's release. This lowly janitor from Indiana suddenly became the center of attention for major players in the music industry. Given that the comment "I love this" left by the late great Steve Perry, lead singer of Journey, must have taken Richard by surprise. The lad who had been practicing his travel song in the school corridors had hit the proverbial goldmine. It was clear that Perry's remarks had some weight because of how honestly Richard responded. Still, it wasn't the final chapter. The official Trip account reposted Richard's video, which helped him gain more views. Hollywood heavyweight Howie Mandel thought it was a brilliant idea to recommend him to America's Got Talent. But at first, Richard could not believe his eyes. Is that what really happened? Authentic source reposts and comments, the deal seemed too good to be true. When it finally hit home, though, Richard knew his wildest dreams were coming true. Getting discovered by music legends after washing classrooms is a very fascinating story. August of 2022 was the first month in which the reality of Richard Goodall's fame became apparent. Everybody was staring at this ordinary janitor from Indiana as he sang to a sold-out crowd. Still, Richard wasn't performing solo. He was joined on stage by the divisive American Idol judge Rudy Cardenas. I would have thought Richard would be trembling with fear right about now. So unimpressive was his performance that he resorted to mopping the floors. However, the moment Richard rose to the microphone, he seemed as calm as any veteran artist preparing for a tremendous performance. He seemed to excel at that for quite some time. Now tell me which song it was. His skyrocketing climb to internet fame was actually set in motion by that song. His singing style is perfect for the song, and it captivates listeners. As soon as he stepped onto the stage, his authoritative voice grabbed everyone's attention. But how did this unlikely couple come together? It all started when Rudy Cardenas, a Venezuelan singer and bandleader who has performed on American Idol, discovered Richard's video online. Rudy was so taken by Richard's performance that he chose to invite him on stage thereafter. In the brief moments preceding the performance, as Rudy was ready to introduce Richard, incredible things transpired. The crowd went absolutely crazy at Richard's entrance alone, and that was before he even broke the news. I just recently learned about the TikTok phenomena, he says. Maybe you and half the country have seen it before, but this very building has a janitor that can sing. I was in complete and absolute disbelief when I first watched the video. But trust me when I say it's real. You can count on his appearance this evening, my dear friends. Dreams do come true. Excuse me, esteemed guests, as I introduce you to Mr. Richard Goodall, a truly remarkable singer. We couldn't possibly know what it was like for Richard to feel that pure delight at that same moment, but we may try to put ourselves in his position. An enthusiastic crowd welcomed a school janitor with the fervor of a rock star. It appeared astonishing. An enchanted experience it was to listen to Richard and Rudy harmonize. As their voices merged to form an extraordinary moment, none of those in the audience will soon forget it. It wasn't just a performance, it was more. A long-held dream had materialized before everyone's eyes. After the show, Richard went on cloud nine. In an Instagram picture labeled "An absolutely awesome day," he conveyed his joy. Much of the credit for pulling this off should go to the Drake family. My sister Chelsea and other brother Jeff Jindart recorded the whole Mill staff, the amazing band, and my Terry Hot friends in the audience, and I will be forever thankful to them. Get ready for more. You all still have no idea how much fun I'm having. It would be reasonable to think that this was how Richard became famous. He had actually performed with a genuine American Idol finalist not long ago. It seems like a lot of doors would just swing open for you, doesn't it? Oh, I see now. Everyone has always said how amazing Richard's voice is, and some have even suggested he try out for singing competitions. Before his viral moment and this amazing performance with Rudy, Richard didn't really consider it, but after they finished filming, he changed his mind. His objective was to disrupt The Voice, a highly watched singing competition on television. By filming himself performing "Don't Stop Believin'," Richard hoped to forever capture the essence of the song that had become his signature melody. He sent it out with optimism and enthusiasm. Waiting was the subsequent stage. Richard probably spent days checking his inbox, hoping for good news. Even though it took some time, he finally received bad news and a voicemail from The Voice. "Hello, Richard," the email began. "Your participation in our online casting call is tremendously appreciated. The jury has heard your Don't Stop Believin' performance. This round is not going to proceed with you. We eagerly await your return next year, so please continue with your good work." My goodness. Try to imagine what it's like to be in their position for a moment. Someone who just become famous for his singing and had a fantastic performance is now told he isn't good enough. Richard maintained his determination even when everyone else would have given up. Definitely he was disappointed. It stands to reason that everyone would, but he decided not to quit up and instead looked into other possibilities. If the Voice judge wasn't interested in him, he could always audition for America's Got Talent. It is AD's intention to. Following everything that had transpired, Richard resorted to Instagram to share his thoughts and future plans with his supporters. "I will admit that I am deserving of The Voice, but I'm going to give American Got Talent a go nevertheless," he wrote. "The ordinary people, though, will not do here. Your encouragement is greatly appreciated." His disapproval was palpable as it radiated from the post. This is a normal human reaction whenever we feel that life isn't being fair to us. On the other hand, you may hear another noise. Determination. Richard would not let anything stand in the way of his dreams. He did it after taking the plunge. On May 28, 2024, Richard Goodall walked the stage at America's Got Talent. But there was more to him than meets the eye. He was making a giant leap toward his long-awaited objective. As far as American Got Talent episodes go, this one was. For the first episode of Season 19, the stakes couldn't have been higher. Richard chose "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey for his performance once again. Singing those famous lyrics made it sound like a miracle had happened. A spell was cast over the entire audience. His performance stunned not just Richard but also the judges. Losing control of her emotions, Judge Sofia Vergara was utterly enthralled. After Richard's performance, she was stunned and impressed. Seeing a school janitor transform into a well-known musician is a very rare occurrence. Howie Mandel, who has been Richard's biggest fan since his TikTok became famous, mentioned that Richard has been a singer for 23 years. The touching scene of Richard's pupils cheering the janitor who could sing was shown on national television by him. Those kids must have felt an immense amount of pride. Nevertheless, Heidi Klum was the center of attention. She exhibited an unforeseen behavior due to the profound impact Richard's performance had on her. "Richard, you absolutely stunned me," she shouted. "I sense an emotion whenever I raise my head to look at the sky and hear your cries." Heidi showed her love for Richard by pressing the golden buzzer, which let loose a rain of golden confetti as he stood there in complete shock. All the pressure he had been under, the negative feedback he had gotten, and the memories of singing in school halls evaporated in that instant. Richard Goodall started his tour with the live performances. "It was amazing," Heidi said as she sprinted to the stage to give Richard a bear hug. "I can't wait to hear the next song you release, but I'll explain it nevertheless." On his own, Richard failed to reach AGT. He was a member of the band Manipa while he was a resident of Terre Haute, Indiana. As Richard's TikTok gained popularity, it seemed like no one was safe. It was like the band had won the lottery for everyone. The settlement of Manipa became a topic of conversation out of nowhere. The bars in the area were really keen on them. They were unprepared for how fast their schedule would get full. For Richard, it was unbelievable. They were unexpectedly arranged for every weekend in July, which made him really happy. The band and their management should be commended for the incredible effort they put into securing these performances. Show up at Archie's Sports Bar at 7:30 this Saturday night. Be careful not to miss anything. Richard may have been the focus of attention, but one of his bandmates didn't seem surprised. He thought this was certain to happen. He was entitled to it. Especially noteworthy are his interpretations of Journey tunes. He would sound great on lead vocals for Journey. Consider this: he went from playing piano in his apartment by himself to fronting a band that got famous on the internet. Something incredibly unexpected had transpired to fulfill Richard's lifelong ambition of forming a band. People are naturally interested in Richard Goodall and want to know more about him, as is the case with most famous people. As his singing career takes off, fans are curious about the identity of the true artist. On America's Got Talent, Richard spoke highly of his fiancée Angie. Nevertheless, a significant portion of his life has gone unnoticed. A story of love at its tenderest, tragedy at its worst, and eventual salvation. Prior to his meeting Angie, Richard enjoyed an extraordinary 30-year marriage. His first wife, whose name he chooses to conceal, clearly had a deep bond with him. Theirs was the kind of love that lasts a lifetime. They were inseparable, sharing in one another's joy at every milestone. Photos from their lives as a couple show how strong their bond is. On the other hand, there will be difficult moments in life. When Richard's brave wife lost her battle with illness on June 19, 2021, his world was turned upside down. In an emotional Instagram post, Richard expressed his profound sorrow over the loss, saying, "I'm really sorry, I did my best, but my best wasn't good enough. Cancer is like taking a punch to the stomach, losing consciousness, and then being asked to get back up and start over again." The anguish he feels is palpable in his writing. The kind of thing that may depress anyone is breaking up with a loved one after 30 years of marriage. But life got in the way of Richard's plans. Richard, to everyone's surprise, found love again. A few months following his defeat, he posted a photo to Instagram with the message, "Fun night with my Lane at Taco Tequilas," and shared it with Angie on August 25th. Some might wonder why Richard is moving on so quickly. The issue is, whose worth are we to judge? Additionally, remembering someone best means rediscovering the happiness they offered into your life. Richard would often say that his room was the perfect spot for him to daydream about being in a band while listening to music. Having said that, it certainly isn't exhaustive. Despite embarking on his artistic path solo, he has been blessed with two profound forms of love. I would think that after all this success, Richard is living it up to the fullest. Remember that he was still working as a janitor in a small town, staying still all during the competition. Goodness, that's expensive. It was a relief for Richard when AD offered to cover all of his competition expenses. But then the plot takes a turn that is much more heartbreaking. It wasn't enough to cover Richard's necessary bills, according to Chris Bond, a fellow Terre Haute native. Richard might not have the support of his neighborhood, he worried. Consequently, Chris started a GoFundMe campaign with the goal of raising 15 grand. He spoke briefly but profoundly. The Indiana resident and winner of ATD's Golden Buzzer, Terre Haute, deserves our support. Impressions have been universally high. Within its allotted 10 days, May 30th, June 9, 2024. This campaign accomplished its goal. An astounding 382 people contributed to support their neighborhood hero. The sole consideration here wasn't financial. Helping a fellow human being was the unifying goal of the community members in it. Richard will return to the competition in August completely unprepared, all because of this tremendous support. He can now gather his loved ones around him to cheer him on, thanks to his newfound financial means. And just in case any unforeseen expenses come up, he will have a little extra cash on hand. Richard made great strides forward as he took off on his solo flight to ADT. Here, his entire hometown is going to cheer him on. It's almost as if the entire town of Terre Haute is performing alongside him. Richard Goodall's life took a dramatic turn after his unexpected appearance on America's Got Talent. The humble janitor from Indiana has become a local superstar, and fans are constantly trying to get an autograph from him. He now always has a Sharpie on hand, in case. Richard has been playing at a plethora of events, including fundraisers and parties, and some local companies have even created themed drinks featuring his likeness. Being on the verge of a hurricane is the analogy he uses. Nevertheless, he finds great pleasure in it. He finds it fantastic. I take great pleasure in helping those in need. Yeah, I'm pretty outgoing. An unexpected meet and greet happens after a normal shopping trip for 6 items, and people are waiting in line to get autographs and take photographs. At one of his recent shows, he even brought a bodyguard. For the live performances, Richard is currently getting ready to return to Pasadena. He will be there for 10 days. The Wabash Valley Fairgrounds, however, will play host to a magnificent communal farewell. The whirlwind of activity doesn't shake Richard's groundedness. He keeps painting and stripping flooring at West Vigo Middle School. His need to pay for expenses is made clear. Everyone should have health insurance. Someone needs to fill my prescription. Everyone is the same, including myself. Because this time, thanks to a group effort, he can bring his fiancée Angie along. Richard maintains his modesty despite everything that has transpired. He doesn't mind admitting that he is still perplexed by everything. It seems pointless to make a fuss over me. However, donning his signature newsboy cap, he is prepared to slay the stage once more. Richard thinks his story has touched so many people because he is simply a regular guy. At a time when polarization seemed to be on the rise, people needed a champion to rally behind. They have faith in Richard's inherent goodness and think he deserves another opportunity. Richard confidently and realistically approaches the next round. Despite his knowledge that his new song will most certainly not live up to Don't Stop Believin', he is nevertheless prepared to give it his all. The only thing on his mind is performing live music and having a good time. How wonderful if he continues. Regardless, he'll easily prevail if he doesn't. More than that, you won't believe it. I couldn't agree with him more. Richard Goodall has accomplished his life's work and gained the hearts of millions no matter what the future brings. No big deal, even for a janitor from Indiana who happens to sing. Also, no matter what happens on that stage afterwards, one thing is guaranteed. Richard Goodall's journey has only just begun. His achievements thus far demonstrate that dreams can indeed come true for those who have faith. With the support of the town and a golden buzzer who can say what he can achieve. Answering this question requires one more certainty. Whatever happens, he can count on our unwavering support and encouragement.